There will always be companies who ask you like, why do you want to take 4 months at a go? Why don't you take 2 months and then space it out for the remaining 2 months? Then how are you going to answer that? You're away for 1 year. If the company can do without you for 1 year, it means that you can be replaced, right? End of the day, career is what's going to support your child, right? It's not just what the government gives you for this like 1 to 2 years.
Wanted to raise up that point when we were talking about birth rate. When I said that there were other aspects, aside from money. Like the reason why it's not really working out now, whatever that the government is doing, I think it's just really like what people are believing in now. I think we are a bit more selfish. We want to have the money for ourselves. I think a lot of us, like I do have relatives who decide not to have children, but it's not because they cannot afford, they can. It's just that they are not willing to sacrifice the money that they are spending on themselves at the moment for their kid. Which is why they don't want children. So it's not about whether
they won't be in a position to decide whether I compromise my lifestyle or not.
Yeah. So I think that's what is happening now. That's why the government, no matter how much they give, right, it's not going to be enough to encourage parents, encourage like couples to want to have children or have more children.
Yeah, I agree. It's more of you don't know what you don't know. Because I've not so far met any mother who told me that I've given to a child and I've completely regretted it. I wish I was childless. No mother will do that. But on the other side, right, all you get is just screaming children in MRTs, just poop-filled diapers. Like that is never going to encourage you to have a child. Would you rather every day 4 o'clock cycle need to clean poop, or holiday in Maldives or some nonsense, right? Nobody would choose to do that. But all the mothers who come out from the motherhood experience would be like, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, all the other things are kind of superfluous, right? Having a child is, and I quote, the best experience I had since I was born. And I think if the government decides that money is going to sway that opinion, the money should actually just be like given to all mothers. Just give everybody a pacifier, right? You just let all the babies have free pacifier. They don't start making noise. They're all just generally having nice disposition. It's more likely to convince people that children are not annoying little rats running around. And okay, maybe I should have one.
I think it's not just money, because money only solves things temporary. Like for example, okay, even if the government gives you, let's say, 4 months maternity, and it's like, yes, it's your entitlement to take it, or even in fact some companies give more than 4 months. I think we did a search before. There are companies that give you like unlimited. It's up to you to decide how long you want to be away. But that's a scary thing. Even if it's something that's stated this way, how will your company judge you is another thing. As in, the company can say that, from a company perspective, this is fine, but your immediate supervisor, is it really fine? That's another thing. So even though they can say that, let's say for example, recently they said that, they just increased the unpaid leave for parents, for kids, I think under 2 years or something, from 6 days to 12 days. But that is just the government saying that, okay, you can take 12 days unpaid leave. But if right now you want to take unpaid leave, you go to your HR, it's still subject to approval. And end of the day, even if you can take it, everything else will still be affected in terms of like your performance, because you took unpaid leave. So as much as the government can give all this help to say that, you should give this, but there will always be certain company culture that doesn't seem to be in favor of this.
Correct.
That there will always be companies who ask you like, why do you want to take 4 months at a go? Why don't you take 2 months and then space it out for the remaining 2 months? Then how are you going to answer that? I mean, to be honest, as a mom, right, I really don't see myself being able to come back to work at the 2 months mark, because that's when you barely recovered physically and your baby is still so young. Like 4 months is really just there.
Barely enough.
Yes, correct. And then that is when you're back to work, right? Like right now, my baby is starting on solid food. She's probably going to start crawling soon. But because I'm at work, these are moments that I know I'm going to miss it. There's no way I will be there kind of thing, because you won't know when she's going to start calling you mama or anything, but because you need to come to work. So even if the government extends now like 6 months, 1 year, the government can say it's okay, but is the company really okay? Because there's always this scary thought about, okay, you're away for 1 year. If the company can do without you for 1 year, it means that you can be replaced, right? So how many companies are really like very pro family to say that, oh, it's okay. I mean, fair enough if you've been in the company for long enough, okay lah. But what if those that just joined, like I'm here for 6 months, 1 year, will they dare to be away for so long? And also, if you just start out in your career, I think there's certain consideration that I think young couples are thinking right now lah. Because end of the day, career is what's going to support your child, right? It's not just what the government gives you for this like 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
I think the fact that there are a lot of factors that seem to be against like having a child. Like there are a lot of difficulties. The article that publishes, it costs $1 million for a child. The fact that we have the company not agreeing with you taking so long, or the fact that you yourself might think that, what if I come back 4 or 5 months later and my skills are no longer relevant, right? I think that can be a very scary thought, plus all the financial things that you have to consider. But I also think that because you are able to... Okay, so last time when you operate as normal, like working adult, right, your skill sets and your horizons and your world experience is that. But now that you have a child and you get to manage, it's a very interesting growing experience. Like, not everybody gets to have. You're never going to learn this from a promotion. You're never going to learn this by earning your first million. You're only going to learn this by having a child, knowing that you can be more than who you used to be. And I think there is a lot of value in that in itself. But that's not saying everybody should go and have a child now, go and like level up. No, please be responsible. But this also brings in a very unique situation in which there are going to be so many interesting moments that you are going to experience as a human being that you cannot find in like the corporate ladder or working out, earning the first million. So speaking of like less dreadful things and more like cheerful things, what's the most how would I say? What's the most interesting thing that you've encountered? What's your favorite memory of you with your child now that you're like just struggling with work, and then you get that small little moment of time to get to see your child? What's been the most memorable moment in this time duration?
I think it's really just looking at your baby, and when your baby smile at you, right, it's like nothing else matters. Like, I mean, no matter how bad your day is at work or everything, right, once you go back, you open the door, you see your baby smiling, kicking her legs and all, like, can't wait for you to hug her, right? I think you just melted. Everything else just doesn't matter. I mean, before I'm a mom, right, before I have a kid, I can never understand that when my friends tell me. It's like, no, I can never understand what you're telling me. But now that I have a daughter myself, right, it's just all worth it lah. Like, I mean, in the past, before I was a mom, I always complain like, oh, I only got like 4 hours of sleep, I got not enough sleep, I'm so tired and everything. But now when you look at your daughter, right, you'll be like, it's okay, it's all worth it, it's fine. Even if I have to wake up at like 5 a.m. every day, even if I wake up every hour to like look for a pacifier, it's fine because it's all worth it.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask, okay, there was one time during lunch, right, Yan Ling was saying that I should have a child earlier. I thought that was that's an interesting like topic to discuss also. So you had your first child in your mid-30s.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're saying so your advice is to have a child earlier.
It depends.
Specifically for Shuen, the advice was to have it earlier. Yes.
I feel financially, if you want to be able to give your child the best, means to say that not to have to work within a budget, then I think mid-30s is a sweet spot, because that's when you've already achieved a certain career where you are comfortable to know that, okay, I can go for maternity for 4 months, I come back, I know what I'm doing, my bosses know what I'm doing, the company will make sure that I have a position. But if you're looking in terms of body recovery, in terms of having a longer time with your daughter, then I think yes, having a kid younger, because there's always this stereotype about how women don't bounce back in shape after giving birth.
But you did.
And there's this stress like, okay, I need to come back to work. Can I still fit like my work clothes? And like, what is everybody gonna say the minute they see you? Like, will they ask if I'm like expecting another child or something? You know, it's quite stressful for a girl to not be able to fit into your usual clothes, or to not know what your like colleagues are all gonna say when they see you lah. So I think in view of that, if you have a kid younger, typically those younger girls who have kids, right, they typically don't look like they came back from maternity lah after 4 months. So on that basis, I think yes. And also the other thing to consider is I think looking after kids is not just about you and your husband. You need a lot of parent help.
Yep.
I mean, to be honest, if my mom is not helping me look after my daughter, right, I wouldn't be able to be back at work to transit this smoothly lah. So the younger you have, the younger your parents are. Like the stamina and energy to look after your baby is there lah. But of course, financials will not. There's no like win-win situation. It's just that you have to decide which is it that you want. So I've also seen or heard of people that have kids like very young, early 20s.
Yep.
Obviously without making much progress in their career yet. But it's okay because 2 years after having kids, they can still continue climbing the corporate ladder. Right. It's fine. But if you're at like a 27, 28 kind of age group, right, you're kind of stuck. Because if you take 1 year to have kids, by the time you're back to workforce, you're like 28, 29. You are not as young and you've not climbed that far off. You're kind of in like a situation because there will always be a lot of stereotype about because you're a mother, you're not going to be 100% committed with work. As much as you convince everybody like, no, I'm able to do my things. There will always be a certain stereotype to say that she's a mother, her priority is family. I mean, it's true, but that doesn't mean we can't do our work. But there will always be such mentality from certain people to say that because she's a mother, because she just gave birth, that there will be certain stereotype thinking that comes along with it. And that may affect your career progression. I think for guys, no difference lah. Like really for guys, no difference. It shouldn't
have a difference lah. I don't think it should.
Yeah, for guys, no difference. But for girls, yes.
Yeah. Actually, I was also like, it has always been one of my aspirations, one of my dreams to be a young mom.
Right.
So you don't have much time left.
Yeah, I really okay. So I really do not have much time left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So last time when I was in school, right, as early as early secondary, you know when teachers will ask you to write down your career aspirations. So
you wrote mother.
Yeah. Yes, legit. I'm not lying.
Getting like mucho judged right now.
No. No, I really did. Okay, so I was 13. I remember it was one of those like first few days of school,
right.
And then they will ask us things like you write down your career aspiration on this note, then we put it at the back of the classroom as like decoration, right? To work towards it. So a lot of my friends wrote like doctor, lawyer, astronaut, you know, that kind of thing. But I wrote that I wanted to be a mum.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
Did they call your mother? Like
no, they didn't. Nobody judged me that much lah. Nobody
that
judged
you know
me there. Yeah. No, because I have a friend, my table partner. So she saw that, and then recently, okay, not that recently, maybe like a couple of years back, I ran into her again. And
she asked you, you're a mom now.
No. No, she just said that one of her most memorable moments with me back in school was that she can still remember that I wrote that I wanted to be a mom, and she told me that she thought it was amazing that at that age I said I wanted to be a mother, and it was something that she remembered all the way like 10 years later. She can still remember that I wrote that even though it has been so long.
So my question is that, were you already aware of the implications of being a mother, or was just that based on your image of how your mom was and what she was doing generally? That
no, actually I have no idea why I no, because it wasn't like my mom was a young mom.
Okay.
So I don't know where I got that notion, like that. I don't know where I got this aspiration from. I think it's just I received a lot of love from my parents. So there's this part of me where I want to kind of like pass it on to
the
another person. Then that's why I probably had that. But then now that I'm working already, right, I'm starting to realize that maybe it's not that feasible to have a child at a young age lah. But technically,
why not?
Technically it is possible.
Yes.
Actually, at my stage now, because I'm getting my house next year and everything, right? So actually I can.
Yep.
But now I am not sure if I want to have a child early.
Fair.
And I remember my boyfriend, my partner, right? He actually also wants to have a kid before he turns 30. But then he's 4 years older than me, so he's literally has like two more years left. And I'm just like, I'm not gonna have a kid in the next 2 years. You can forget about being a father before you are 30.
Did he tell you why?
He just wants to have a kid before. He doesn't want to have a very big age gap between him and his kid.
Yeah.
He has this mentality where like he wants to be able to be active with his child for as long as possible. So he doesn't want to have too much of an age gap between him and his child. So that was his reasoning. But I told him, well, I guess it's just too bad that you met.
Yeah. No, but that's a very common valid concern between male significant others, is that you don't want to be in a situation in which, let's say, okay, when the child comes, there is technically two people you have to take care of, the mother and of course the child. And you are at your prime at certain like age, right? After that, you are just not physically capable of doing it anymore, right? And you cannot overstrain yourself, because what is worse than not being able to take care of both of them is when you fall sick trying to take care of the mom, and now the mom has to take care of two children, you and the actual child. So usually we have the mindset of wanting to have the child early, so that yes, we can be like helpful and young and still do all the things and kind of stuff. Because there's a lot of horror stories from like all the more elderly, honestly elderly, just older fathers who like have their child at like 30s, and they're like, by the time the child becomes like cognizant of language and words, you're so detracted from what they like, right? You are like 1990s to the current Gen Z. You don't understand what they're on, and it's very straining on the relationship. So I also have the irrational fear that I want to have children as early as possible, so that I don't be like, what's a boomer? Then I'm like, oh my god,
So my team is going to go on like maternity, paternity, like the next 1 or 2 years. It kind of sounded like it's going this direction.
I mean, okay,
No,
like what Shuen said,
I
you wish doesn't mean will happen. No,
I say I reconsidering what? I say I know. I think maybe you probably still see me around for the next 2 years. Don't worry. Don't need to worry.
But yeah, I think again because prices are going up and down, things are changing, and the way we see these kinds of issues are changing. It's not going to be like 我要现在有 that kind of situation. Not intentionally lah, right?
But the other thing to highlight is also, I think having kids is not just something that you can plan for. There's a lot of people who plan to say that, I get married, I want to enjoy 2 years of honeymoon, after that have kids. But there's a lot of fertility issues going up, right? I mean, you never know. It doesn't mean you want means you're gonna get it, and it's not something that I can plan for. So I think there's a lot of people who failed to see this part. By the time they're ready to have it, right? Or like, I save up enough money, I think I'm at the right age. But what if your body just doesn't give you what you want? Then it's a different thing altogether.
I have a friend who has planned it out that by 30 she's gonna have a kid, and then they started trying. So they have like a budget lah. She now jokingly, now that she has a child, she calls it her 棺材本. Like her life's goal, just have a child. That's all I need. My bucket list, have a child. So from 30 to 34, she actually cannot conceive it, and she goes through like what's that called?
IVF.
Yeah, IVF. Right. And she spends basically the entire children raising fund to get the child out. So by the time the child is out, she is on like bare minimum. That's not enough budget. So I was like, I think she went for like four or 5 times. So I was like, on the last time, right, before you paid for it, right, did you ever consider for the fact that the moment you pay this and this succeeds, you have no money for the child? And she told me is that the beauty of having a child is that you realize a lot of the things in your life are unimportant.
True.
You are just doing things to pass time, right? Like now I just don't really care about the fact that my dresses have 4 shades of pink, right? I care about the fact that my toddler has nice shoes that make squeaky sounds. That's hella cute. And I was like, this is the weirdest person, because she's the kind of person who's like, Gucci has a new drop, I'm gonna get that stuff. And she sold all her bags to make sure that she get a child. She basically just emptied out herself. She went from like high SES to like doesn't even know what SES looks like, and she's happy, right? And I realized that a lot of people are very afraid that like, the child's gonna bankrupt me because I need to plan that so that I don't bring a child, then the child end up eat like soy sauce and rice. But I just want to like send out positive vibes that your current lifestyle, as long as you are not like, getting like government food stamps and stuff, you can sacrifice certain things to make it work. It's just whether you want it or not. So I think, right, if there is a way for us to figure out the fact of, are we willing to sacrifice things, and to know that these are things you can sacrifice. Because some people be like, no, every year I need to have 2 vacations. If not, my mental health will go down.
Yeah, which is what I mentioned just now. Like people are just not willing to
there's a lot of things that now is hard and fast food 不可以. right? And a lot of the things is because I want the money to do this, I want the money to do that.
So I think when your kid is out, everything just falls into place. Like all these people will say no, right? But when you see your kid, it's a different story.
Yeah.
It's a different thing.
They all just 变性. They're all no longer the same kind of people.
Oh,
It's
okay, then
damn
just have a kid. That's the conclusion.
No. But so in before that, right? Because a lot of the things that don't matter, we also have a lot of expenditure that I think are like not important for a kid one, but now right, it's quite popular. Like, for example, you want to 算 your 八字 for the child to have like a special like nice name.
Confinement center.
Yeah, like okay, so now let's grill the mother in the studio, right? And like go and find out like what kind of like interesting expenditures did she have.